The year is 1988 and the Super Famicom was just announced in the Japanese press. Just like that, the word of Nintendo's next console is spreading. It's revealed that Super Mario Bros. 4 is going to be a launch title for the system. Boom, the whole gaming world is changing. Here comes the next generation of gaming, a true competitor to the Genesis or Mega Drive. Fast forward a bit and we see the Super Famicom release in Japan in 1990, North America in 1991 and Europe in 1992. With fans going crazy over the next-gen graphics on display, sales shot through the roof. Not to the extent of the NES, but still a massive success. And that's just about as much as I can tell you about the launch of the SNES. For you see, while I wasn't around for the launch itself, I did grow up with the console and the N64 by my side as well. So that should tell you I have a lot of memories with the SNES. So, here's me. I was born in 1999 and my family luckily already owned a SNES thanks to my dad being a gamer as well. Some of my earliest memories include me trying my best to play Super Nintendo games such as Super Mario World and Donkey Kong Country 2. Add to that, me trying to play N64 with my sister, but as it turns out, she just handed me a controller that in reality was unplugged and upside down. I just kinda vibed and thought I controlled something on screen. So while that may sound a little sad, essentially games have been around me since the moment I was born, and I'm forever grateful for that. So, without further ado, let's have a look at the fabled Super Nintendo. Yep, this is the Super Nintendo. And well, sorry to pause this thing so quickly, but since someone will ask, let's just get it over with. The SNES had a different design in North America. Somehow the higher-ups at Nintendo of America thought this design that was used everywhere else in the world wasn't appealing enough for American consumers, so instead, they got this Minecraft-looking thing. And not to say it looks bad, but it's not that nice either. I mean, in the 90s, companies like Sega generally strived for a more cool design. But here we have the American SNES with its purple buttons for some reason against this slick-looking black Genesis. It's like, which one would you choose purely because of the looks? Big purple Minecraft block or a black sports car-looking thing? I mean, at the end of the day, it's the same console as we got pretty much, but just presented in a different way. I'll say that the American SNES game cartridges actually look way cooler though than ours. So, here we have the console yet again, featuring the power off and on switch, a reset button, and an eject button for games. That's something sorely missing on the Sega Mega Drive. Then we have two controller ports, and around back we got the power connector, RF video out, and an option for AV video out. This little port even supported RGB video out as well, which I luckily use. This port was so well designed and standardized that Nintendo actually ended up using it for the N64 and GameCube. And here we got the SNES controller, also known as the dog bone, cause it looks like a bone, you see. Okay. 4 face buttons, start select, and amazing D-pad L and R buttons. This was a major step up from the NES controller. This design alone allowed for so many more complex gameplay styles and above all else, availability. For example, have you ever played fighting games on the Mega Drive? If you said no, then nice, but for those who have, you know it's a struggle to do certain moves and whatnot with the standard 3-button controller. Luckily, Sega also have released a 6-button controller later on, so yeah. Now, let's take a look at some of the launch titles and a few more of my favorites over the years. Super Mario World speaks for itself, I'd say. Here we have the next generation of Mario, and what a game it was, evolving just about everything from Mario 3 into this massive adventure. There's just something about this first real Mario world to explore that's so special. Not to mention the soundtrack along with it. F-Zero was just a way to show the power of the SNES with how fast-paced the game was and so on. And honestly, I've always liked this even though I'm pretty bad at it. Thinking back on this nowadays, it's still crazy to me that we haven't seen a new F-Zero since GX. The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. Bro, wow, this game is what the first Zelda wanted to be but couldn't. And it's certainly not as extremely difficult as Zelda 2. A pattern with almost all of the big SNES games is that they were truly adventures taken to a new scale. And this fits right in with that statement. Super Metroid. Damn, I just played this for my first time a few months ago and it's just amazing. Nothing short of a masterpiece, honestly.
You can attack me? Maybe you can. I'm dodging your attacks as well. And that's it. I guess. Is it? Hey! Did I actually just beat this?
Donkey Kong Country. Oh my god. The graphics in this one were the best ever seen on the console and just blew everyone away. And with music from heaven, literally, I mean seriously, who knew God had such good taste in music? And engaging gameplay on a large scale, this is, and say it with me, an adventure. And arguably Star Fox was the most demanding game on the system, truly pushing 3D gaming forward. And Earthbound is just weird, man, but nevertheless, it's an incredible journey full of charm and emotions. I could honestly just keep going at it like this for hours, but I'll spare you the trouble. The short of it is that the SNES had a hell of a lot of games, massive amounts of third-party support as well. Most notably, Rare got their true start here. With the DKC games and Killer Instinct, their future looked brighter than ever. And even Square had their rise to glory on Nintendo at the time, with Final Fantasy truly gaining popularity. Now, I'm a video game music lover, as you know, and I gotta acknowledge the capabilities of the SNES soundchip produced by none other than Sony. We got intense tracks that really gets the adrenaline going. We got super happy music that sure to put a smile on anyone's face. But above all else, I absolutely love the dark orchestra sound of the SNES. And if that wasn't enough, just listen and take in this absolute masterpiece of an opening. It's really something else. I mean, it's almost like it takes me back to that simpler time in gaming and in life in general, in comparison to now, which might sound strange seeing as I wasn't even alive then, but trust me, it makes sense. Now, there are some things worth mentioning about the SNES. First of all, as you know, there was almost a SNES CD. This thing would likely work in much the same way as the Mega CD. As you know, this was a joint project between Sony, which ended up resulting in the PlayStation being created. More on that in the card that should be on screen right now. One thing that was released for the SNES, but only in Japan, was the Satellaview. And honestly, I could probably make a full video on this thing alone, but just to cover it briefly here. The Satellaview was, as the name implies, a satellite modem add-on for the Super Famicom, allowing people to download games and other media. Essentially, this was the first real subscription-based gaming service on consoles. Reading directly from Wikipedia, it says the way it worked was apparently by having people buy a special broadcast satellite tuner and pay the subscription fee. It attaches to the expansion port on the bottom of the Super Famicom. So yeah, aside from being just futuristic, the thing actually had some exclusives, like a full-on remake of the first Legend of Zelda in the Link to the Past style. Like, what the hell? This is amazing! And the big sad part about this is that the Satellaview games never got re-released anywhere, so what we're left with is the ROMs probably just chilling in some office in Nintendo Japan. And making it even worse is considering the fact that the service ran for 5 years, it must have been somewhat successful, but they still chose to do nothing with the old games. I wonder if Nintendo will ever re-release them in some form. Maybe Switch Online would work as a place to do it at. If by any chance they did it in the future and you're watching this, I called it. Now, how do we finish this thing? Well, I think there's no better way than just to give some final thoughts and then hopefully hear some of yours in the comments, whether or not you were alive when the console launched. The Super Nintendo, while not my favorite video game console, is still a big part of my life and my childhood. It was a true evolution from the NES in every way, and I just wish I could have been part of it all. Nowadays, there's a lot of ways to play these games, be it emulators, Switch Online, or even the SNES Mini right here. Also, wow, this thing is tiny. The SNES is one of those legendary pieces of gaming history that truly never will die. I mean, people still go back and play those old games over and over, including me. If anything, their popularity has been on the rise since modding of older games has been such an easy task to do. So, dear viewer, did you grow up with the SNES or came into contact with it later like me? How was your experience? And most importantly, do you say SNES or SNES? Let me know, and thanks for your time. I'll see you all later. Have a good one.